Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lamide.
The future is now. The future is now. The future is now.
So today I'm gonna do a book haul. So, over here I have like all the books that I have read. Well, there's more, but I chose 8 that I have read this year so far, and I just want to review them because some books have been so good, others have been very disappointing, others like surpass. I'm just gonna come and speak about them. But the first book that I've read this year, and this book I actually highly recommend it because it's so well written, is Transcendent Kingdom by Yaa Gyasi. And if you watch my other like 5 fiction books to read, I recommended Homegoing, and this is by the same author. So her previous books that she's done is Homegoing, and the fact that this is just her second book just shows how amazing of a writer she is. Like, she is so talented. Can't lie, it's a sad book. It's a sad book. After I put this book down, I said, yeah, I'm not gonna read any more sad books because I like joy, like what the hell. Because yeah, this is about a young lady, Gifty, who's currently studying as a PhD candidate at Stanford in like science, when she's learning about the neural circuit of reward seeking behaviors, and that was basically for her to try to understand her brother's addiction. So yeah, like there's just so much that goes on in this book, but it's so beautifully written. It's not even that long, it's less than 300 pages, but yeah, Yaa has a beautiful way of writing. Like, her writing style is phenomenal. Part of it felt as if it was like letters to God, because the themes that she was dealing with was science, relationships, religion, like family trauma, like immigration. So there was a lot that she was working through, and we could see how her mind works through like her letters to God, through the way she questioned a lot of things in life since she was little. And yeah, it's just a phenomenal book and well written. Some of my main takeaways and some questions I guess that arose after reading the book were, firstly, sacrifices. Like, I was speaking to my friend about this literally just yesterday, about the sacrifices that our parents had to make, and thinking about the sacrifices we would have to make for our children. Because your parents, well, in this book especially, like the parents migrated all the way from Ghana to America, and at that time there was still a lot of like racism. They were in Alabama, so there was just a lot going on, and it was like, that is such a big sacrifice that some could handle and some couldn't. Even when I think of like my family and the sacrifices my parents have made, and it's just like, oh, like, would I be willing? Not would I be willing, but would I be in the position that I have to make those sacrifices? Like, I really hope not. But also, should I be in that position, would I be willing to make those sacrifices as well? But what I took away from the book is the importance of dealing with your trauma and like healing from it as much as you can, because if not, it will just seep into every area of your life and it can literally really consume you. I rated this book 8 out of 10 because though it was beautifully written, I felt as if it lacked a bit in some of the plot. Like, sometimes because of the way the story was told, it will go from like past to present and then to past again, so it was somewhat confusing to follow in terms of the plot. And I think the storyline was just a bit too sad for me. Like, I read fiction because it's that fantasy, joyous world for me, but this fiction book was just really heavy and sad. So yeah, that's the only reason I give it 8 out of 10. The next book I read is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, and the book that she wrote before that was The Mothers. I haven't read that yet, to be fair, so that is on my list. And this book was so interesting. Like, it was so well written. It was just like super interesting and insightful, I guess, because the themes that it includes were like colorism, racism, family, like love, like family feud, I guess, to an extent, and like, again, dealing with like your past. Because a lot of people, what I found in the book was like, one of the main characters, she was really just like living in the shadow of her past rather than thinking about what she could learn from the past and how she can move on into the future. So I'm just going to read the plot of The Vanishing Half. These two twin sisters will always be identical, but after growing up together in a small southern black community and running away at age 16, it is not just the shape of their daily lives that is different as adults, it is everything. Their family, their communities, their racial identities. 10 years later, one sister lives with her black daughter in the same southern town she once tried to escape. The other secretly passes for white, and her white husband knows nothing about her past. Still, even separated by so many miles and just as many lies, the fate of the twins remain intertwined. What will happen to the next generation when their own daughter's storylines intersect? And I guess my main takeaways from this book was like, don't lie. Like when you're reading about the other sister, like her life is just a web of lies and nobody knew who she really was. And I was like, this must be so sad. Like you don't have anyone that truly loves you for who you are because nobody really knows who you are. So yeah, don't lie because it always catch up to you, and then it just snowballs and you just have to live in that life forever, and that's just long. And another one is like, just don't live in your past. Like the other sister, like her past was just like all she knew, like that was everything she did. It was just in reference to her past, and it's like, no, your past should be a place of reference rather than a place of residence. And you could tell that the babe was really living in her past. So yeah, I gave this book a 9 out of 10 because it was brilliantly written. The themes that it explored were so interesting, and the way it did was so like organic and authentic. Again, this is a bit of like a heavy side book, like it's not just joy and fun type of book, but yeah, Brit really did the thing, and it was just a really good book. The next book I'm going to be reviewing is Under the Udola Tree by Chinelo Okparanta. I hope I said your last name right, I'm sorry if I didn't. So I didn't like this book. Like I didn't like this book. I didn't even finish the book, so I can't necessarily give a true review because I'm aware that I didn't finish the book. But I don't know, I didn't like it, I didn't get it. The themes, I guess, was about like war, because it was based in it was around when Nigeria was having the Biafran War, so the Nigerian Civil War in like 1968, and a lot was just going on in the book that I didn't really understand. But I'm going to read the blurb and then I'm going to explain to you why I didn't like the book. So it is 1968, the height of the Nigerian Civil War, when Ijoma notices a young girl following her home. Her name is Amina and she is Hausa. Ijoma is Igbo. Though they should be mortal enemies, the two girls swiftly fall into an irrevocable friendship, one that will shake the foundations of Ujoma's faith, test her resolve and flood her heart. I felt like there was too much going on in the book, which made it really hard for me to follow. So it first starts off set in like the 1968 Biafran War, the Nigerian Civil War. Like a lot of things are changing. The babe is still young. I think she was like 11 at the time. So a lot is happening. And then like her mum makes again sacrifices and stuff. But then it then jumps from it being about like living in the war, I guess, to like her sexuality, and the jump was just like a big jump that I didn't understand why. And then it uses the Bible as well to like kind of justify her mother's behavior towards Ijoma when she finds out about like what she's been up to, I guess. And I personally just really don't like when people misuse the Bible, and I understand the usage of the Bible in this book because a lot of people misuse the Bible. So like her mother's response as like a Christian woman, I guess, was understandable, especially a Nigerian Christian woman to an extent, was understandable. But for me, like, no, like, I don't know, the way the Bible was used was just not a real depiction of God's love and his understanding for things, and I just didn't really like it. Please, if you've read the book, let me know if it's worth finishing. How did you find the book? Because I can't give a review because it's not fair enough for me. I didn't read far enough into it for me to be able to give a fair review, but as I didn't like the book. So yeah, and even like, so this book wasn't even part of what I was going to mention, but this was like another book, The Shadow King. So again, they had like such good reviews, but I found the book so boring. I didn't understand it was about like Ethiopia in 1935, and again I think there was like a civil war, but there was so much and nothing going on at the same time. I'm like, what is even happening right now? So yeah, again, if you read The Shadow King, let me know how you found it. Is it worth finishing? Because I got I got up to page 70 and I was like, this book is air, like this book is just boring, so I stopped reading it. One thing about me, I'm going to try, but life is too short to read bad books. So if the book isn't making sense, I'm not going to keep on reading it. Can't lie to you, it's just not going to happen. So the next book, this book I adored. So it's called His Only Wife by Peace Lamide. I really loved The Girl with the Louder Voice last year, and I recommended it to literally like everybody and anybody. This is how I feel about His Only Wife. Like this book, the fact that this is her debut book, like people like Yah, people like Abidare, people like Peace, they just take off and fly. Like, can't wait to see this on my screen, can't wait to hear more about it. But yeah, I'm gonna read the blurb and then explain to you why I adored this book, because it was just so good. Lamcam married me in Abstina. He did not come to our wedding. Afia is a young seamstress in Ghana. She is smart, she is pretty, and she has been convinced by her family to marry a man she does not know. Lamcam Ganyo is a wealthy businessman whose mother has chosen Afia in the hope that she will distract him from his relationship with a woman his family claim is inappropriate. Marrying a stranger seems a small price to pay in exchange for her financial security, for her family, and the lifestyle she has always wanted in Accra. Ghana's gleaming capital, a place of wealth and sophistication. But when Afia arrives in the city, she realises her fairy tale ending might not be all she had hoped for. Her days are spent with nothing to do but cook meals for a man who may or may not turn up to eat them. Can she really live this life without losing sight of herself? Bursting with warmth and humour, His Only Wife is a witty, smart and moving novel about a brave young woman and her search for independence in a man's world. The rules she might just have to break, along the way. So yeah, this book, page turner, light-hearted but serious enough that it's like really engaging and intriguing. The key themes are like family, love, polygamy, romance, friendship, like future planning and like dreaming, because like obviously when Afia was in like the village somewhere in Ghana, and then for the woman, like for her to then be convinced to marry such a wealthy man, then she started to dream like what her life could be like that. But it's like, what extent are you willing to make some sacrifices for your dreams if it makes you unhappy and stuff? So yeah, I don't know, I just really liked the book. Like, to me, made me consider making sure that you know what family and what type of family you're marrying into, because Afia was a young babe. Her mum like really wanted her to be married to that family. The fact that that was the offer they proposed to her, she would be like, yeah, go get it. But the family she married into, they were mad. Like, they were so mad. I was like, bro, I'd rather be single than marry into a mad family. And yeah, it's just like, are you going to be his only wife? Will you be his only wife? And decisions have to be made. I don't know, it's just really good book. I will give this book an 8. I don't know, some may sound being harsh, but I initially gave it 8.5. But because of how I've liked it even months after reading it, I think I might have to push up to a 9. The reason I originally gave it 8.5 is because though plot is more important to me than writing style, I think writing style is still important, and because of like work and stuff, like punctuations, grammar and all those things really matter to me. So when I was seeing random exclamation marks and bad punctuations, it really upset me. So that's why I was like, no, you can't get the 9. But I think I was just being a bit too harsh. So Peace, you deserve your 9. You deserve your 9 out of 10. So yeah, His Only Wife, so good. Can't wait to see it. It's going to be on Netflix, so I really can't wait for it to come out. And I really hope they just use like authentic Ghanaian actresses and stuff. And I can't wait to see what else Peace has to offer us. So the next book is Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry by Joya Goffney. And this book is a young adult's dream book. I don't know how to explain it. Like, this book is not for like 21 plus. It's more for like 14 to 18, but I really enjoyed it, so I'm still going to recommend it anyways, or I'm still going to review it. So yeah, I'm just going to read the back. So my journal is like my foundation. It doesn't tell me where I'm going, it tells me where I've been. I don't know who I am without it. Quinn Jackson is black, 18, vegetarian, a chronic list maker, crushing on Carter Bennett, socially awkward, living a lie, lost without her journal, being blackmailed, and about to face her truth. A passionate, heartfelt, and addictive rom-com full of juicy secrets and leap off the page chemistry about having the courage to be honest, to live in the moment, and to fall in love. Isn't that a YA dream? This book is about Quinn, who lost her journal, and her journal has like her whole life into it, and she has to go on a search of like finding her journal. People start blackmailing her and saying like, if you don't do this, I'm going to tell the whole school what you've written in your journal. And it was really interesting. It was about like being first a black woman in like a predominantly white environment. So she went to all white, not all white, but she went to predominantly white private school, and how that made her feel, dealing with like bullying, racism, dealing with like new friends and making friendship with new people, like a lot of family issues. It just had everything, and it was a babe of a book. It was just really interesting, really nice to read. Like I finished this in like less than a week because it was just nice, and every time I was just like, oh, what's gonna happen to Quinn? And yeah, I recommend this book. I don't think you should have like too high expectation of the book. I wasn't too critical with the book because sometimes Quinn was really annoying me, but I'm like, babe, the babe is 18, she's like my little sister, let me grant her some grace. And again, like the writing style of the book was pretty basic, but Joya did her thing. So read Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry after you've read His Only Wife, and when you just want something lighthearted to read. So I gave it a 7 out of 10. So I'm gonna say I highly recommend it. I do recommend it though, so read it. So the next book is Simona Still Single. This book made me sad because it was so disappointing. Like, I just found this book to be whack, and God forgive me because I know this is somebody's book and it's like their baby, but I just found it to be bad. Like, it was poorly written, there was bad English, there was bad grammar. It was so upsetting how bad it was because it had so much potential. Like, let me read you the blurb and then you know that it had potential. So Simona Brown is a 37-year-old Jamaican British woman living in South London looking for her Mr. Right, whilst her biological clock loudly flicks it on. She announces to her close girlfriend after a boozy Sunday brunch that she's ready to up her game and start actively dating, to their surprise and delight. After being consciously single for a number of years, Simona remembers what worked and what definitely did not in the dating arena. This time she knows who she is and what she wants. As Simona reflects to her memories from one Mr. to another, she reveals her sensual, hilarious and downright frustrating encounters. She finds herself asking, what does it mean to be a black woman trying to exist, date and find love? In her pursuit of love, she learns new lessons and different answers. Will these new revelations get what she wants? Yeah, so that plot, I was like, oh my god, sick, amazing, black British, you're 37, because most times like when they talk about romances in like your 20s, but yeah, no, it was just bad. Like, was it a diary? Was it like a reflection? Is it like a journal, podcast? Like, I don't know. There was just so much going on, and there was lack of direction in terms of the plot. It was hard to follow. Yeah, I had to give it a 3 out of 10, unfortunately, and I couldn't even finish it. I got over halfway, so I could actually feel as if I could give it like a more balanced review, but obviously there's still the caveat that I haven't finished the book. But I don't think I would ever finish the book, and I don't think others should buy it because it's just not what it was frankly a waste of my money, which really upset me. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Okay. And on a lighter note, the book that I really did enjoy reading, like this book made me so happy. Like reading this was like, yes, this has been the light-hearted romance book that I've been wanting to read, and it's called If I Don't Have You by Sarita Domingo. And yeah, Sarita did her job. I really hope I'm saying your name correctly. And yeah, the book is just fantastic. Let me read again the blurb. Afro-Brazilian filmmaker Ren is recovering from a romantic betrayal. Kayla is a black British artist and journalist keen to make her mark. Thrown together during a string of interviews in New York for Ren's latest film, they struck an irresistible attraction. The two surrender to one night of serving honesty and passion, which leaves them with more questions than answers about the future. With secrets lurking between them, letting their romance continue could upend the separate lives Ren and Kayla have so carefully built. But can they really risk losing their miraculous connection? can they? Yeah, this book was hella dramatic. It was so dramatic and I loved every second of it. Like, it seemed highly unrealistic, but I didn't care. I don't want to read for realism. I want to read for like joy and happiness. And yeah, the book just had this. It was just fantastic, well written, very engaging. Some bits were like a bit cheeky, and I'm like, get back to the plot, mate. But Sarita really just gave it all. So key themes to me would be like ambition, sacrifice, again, maybe that's a running theme. Or maybe it's just sacrificing everything that I'm just beginning to realise. Anyways, yeah, sacrifice, family, love, romance, insecurities, past hurts, all of these things. And it was just like, oh, yes, I really, really enjoyed this book. And I didn't know what was going to happen at the end, and I didn't even want it to end like each time, because it was broken down into like 3 different parts, so it would be different time frames. So one was like maybe like a week, and then another was, so one was like in August, and then another was in October, and then another was like 3 years later. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so intense, but it was so good. So yeah, this book I gave a 9 out of 10 because it was brilliantly written and it had a really good plot. So I also highly recommend this one. The last book I'm reviewing is How to Love the Jamaican by Alexa Arthurs. And I don't know, I didn't understand this book. So it's short stories, and generally I don't really like short stories. I've only read 2. So I've read Love and Colour and Girl, Woman, Other. I enjoyed those. I think they did that short stories well, but it was still a bit irritating to me to an extent in terms of reading it as short stories. But this one I just didn't understand. It felt like, oh, I'm trying again not to be rude, but it felt like a well written air. Like, it felt like vibes, like no plot, just vibe. It was very well written. At least with this one, it was well written, with Simona still single. Anyways, let me just read it. So, tenderness and cruelty, loyalty and betrayal, ambition and regret. These are the tensions at the heart of Alexa Arthurs' debut book about Jamaican immigrants and their families back home. Some stories ask big questions about things that define a person. Others explored small moments of deep significance and lasting effect. Sweeping from close-knit island communities to the streets of New York City, How to Love a Jamaican offers a portrait of a nation, a people and a way of life. Vibrant, lyrical and intimate, this book shows Alexa Arthurs to be one of the most dynamic and exciting authors writing today. It includes the story Bad Behaviour, for which she won Paris Review's Plumpton Prize. So yeah, they have different stories. So I put this on my Instagram because that's where I tend to review my books when I first read them. And somebody tried to break it down to me because, again, I just didn't understand it. Because there was like there was a short story about like mermaids, and I was like, what is this? Like, but then someone was like, maybe it was speaking about how like communities, it says like it takes a village to like help create and nurture a person, but when something happens to a person, that village, that community is no longer in sight. So I was like, oh man, I didn't see it when I first read it, I just didn't get it. So there were a lot of stories that I didn't get it. There was another one about like Jacob and Esau and like brotherly love, I guess. And again, I got it, but I don't know, like there was a lot going on, but a little at a time. So it was very well written, but it was quite hard for me to follow because I just didn't understand what was happening. But I gave it a 6 out of 5 because some of the stories were really good. Like the last one I enjoyed. It was about like fame and everything. And there were a couple that was like, oh, this is a nice story. But when I put down the book, there wasn't like any main takeaways from me. There wasn't any like, oh wow, that made me think about this. It was just like, okay, like this is a decent book. So yeah, I don't know, I maybe read this book and let me know what you think, because again, I'm more of like a plot type of babe. This is very literary, like it has a lot of different like styles of writing and stuff, and again it shows that Alexa is a really good writer, but I didn't understand the book. So those are the reviews of the books I've read. I've read more. Like, I'm currently reading the Half God of the Rainfall, and it's really good. I'm probably going to finish it by the end of today. But yeah, like let me know what you guys are currently reading. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my reviews, and yeah, let's just have a conversation in the comments below. I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Like, share and subscribe. Bye.